Dear graduates, family, and guests, dear colleagues from IMD, it is my honor as a representative of the Institute for International Management Development, IMD, in Lausanne, to welcome you all to the graduation of the Executive MBA class of November 2017. IMD is a foundation by Swiss law with the mission to develop global leaders. I'm proud to direct this program because I believe it is at the core of the very mission to develop global leaders. My name is Stéphane Michel. I'm the Dean of the Executive MBA and Professor of Marketing and Service Management. Family and friends. While today the graduates receive their diplomas for their academic achievements over the last year or years, we all know that this is a team effort. Therefore, I ask the graduates to stand up, turn around, and thank their spouses, partners, kids, parents, and friends for their critical support over the years with a warm round of applause. Well deserved. What is the purpose of studying so hard for such a long time? If we asked you 2 years ago, each of you would have given us a different answer. For example, I want to change my career, or I want to move up the hierarchy, or I know I need to know more about business to become a CEO, or I see my colleagues who studied at IMD get better job offers than I do. Nobody actually said this to me, I made it up. I'm a marketing professor. The point I'm making is that if we hear from you now what you take with you, the answers are very different. And that's the whole point of a learning journey. You never know what you don't know. I'm glad you gave us, IMD, the opportunity to be part of this journey. I'm also personally grateful to IMD and to our president, Professor Jean-François Manzoni, for his continuous support of the EMBA program, for his leadership session with you, for his mentoring to me, and for his trust in the EMBA team. Jean-François, please stand up so that we can thank you with a round of applause. We promised you 3 things when you started the program. First, you learn more about the world. You went to China together, to Brazil, Vietnam, or India, and you spent a great week in Silicon Valley. Now, if you have a brilliant idea to start your own company, your next company, you know how to create the pitch for venture capitalists and to raise the first few millions of dollars, thanks to the teaching by Dr. Jim Buchanan. During this week, I heard several of you mentioning that the discovery expeditions were the most important, most memorable part of your learning journey. Dear Jim, please stand up so that we can thank you for your insightful discovery. Second, you learn more about management. Now you can make a connection between customer insights, the strategy, the organizational structure, and the financial health in a real-world context under time pressure. You even know how to run an airport by now. Third, you learn more about yourself. The leadership stream with the assignments, the coaching, and your work in the leadership team in peer coaching help you to become a more reflective leader. There's an interesting book called The Logic of Failures. The author, Dietrich Dörner, studied how managers make decisions and which mistakes are most common among decision makers under stress. Dörner identifies 4 habits that account for the frequency of our failures. First, the slowness of our thinking. We streamline the process of problem solving to save time and energy. We take shortcuts where we shouldn't. Second, our wish to feel confident and competent in our problem-solving abilities. We try to repeat past successes. Third, our inability to absorb quickly and retain large amount of information. We prefer unmoving mental models which cannot capture a dynamic, ever-changing process. And finally, our tendency to focus on immediately pressing problems. We tend to ignore the problems our solution will create. Dörner also claims through his research that it's not the intelligence, the IQ, that separates successful from unsuccessful leaders. And when I say this in public speeches, I always notice that about half of the attending leaders are very much relieved by this statement. What defines successful leaders in today's complex world is the ability to deal with ambiguity. Sometimes we have to be able to handle 2 conflicting mental models in our head without losing our mind. This is why the focus of our program is not only making you smarter. That's certainly a part of it. But what it also is, we want you to help you to become a more reflective leader. Professor Ben Bryant, would you please stand up so that the guests see who transformed their partner into a better human being? When I look in the room today, I see a group of proud, and if I may say so, well-dressed graduates who really grew together during this year. We started our journey together in this group about a year ago, which now seems like ages ago. And at the same time, it seems like yesterday. Sometimes I get asked, how is our class different from other classes? And a few things come to mind immediately. You were a very collaborative class from the beginning. In all the group works, there was a team spirit and not a focus on individual excellence. You were also very engaged with each other. For example, at least that's what I heard, through WhatsApp. Today, you received a thick book with all the assignments you wrote during the year. If we wanted to print a book with all your WhatsApp chats, I assume there would be no tree left on this planet. We also noticed during the last few days, or what I also noticed during the last few days in the bunker with the Swiss Armed Forces, you were, and I told you yesterday, the most resilient class I ever had the pleasure to work with. There were many reasons to complain during the last 3 days. We took you out on purpose. We took you out of your comfort zone in many dimensions. But as a class and as individuals, you rose to the challenge. Very well done. Finally, we have a series of excellent case studies written by you that are waiting to be published and share your insights to future generation of leaders. What is my hope and motivation as a program director and dean of that program? Clearly, developing global leaders is at the core of the mission at IMD. Now, my personal aspiration is that all of you, any single graduate, is a more interested and more interesting person than before the program. Education is not filling brains with useful stuff. In my opinion, and I say this as an educator for 25 years, and as a father of 2 teenage kids, education is about helping people to seek for truths and insights, to discover the world, and to share knowledge. There are many boring people out there. Don't join them. Be unique, stay interested, stay interesting. Curiosity is the key. Being interesting and interested means that you stay curious. And curious people are not just more successful. To have them around is just more fun. We can celebrate this special day together because of the efforts of many people. First, I would like to thank you, the graduates, for choosing IMD, very smart. For keeping the standards high throughout the year, and for helping each other and learning from each other. Thank you. I would also like to thank the families and friends of the graduates. Because of all your effort during this time, you deserve a diploma too. But I asked the president and he said no. Thank you very much. Finally, help me thank to my colleagues here from the EDS team, from the expert team, and from the EMBA team. Hold the applause until I finish the list of names that I'm grateful for working with. Terry Akit, Sophie Hazi, Mathieu Pinjon, Sonia Klose, Blondine Mallet, Emily Armstrong, Gabriela Grabowska, Chris Jeffs, Douglas Gossett, Karin Alner-Fay, Katalin Gora, and Joshua Clark. Thank you very much. It has been a tremendous pleasure for me working with you on this journey. And I'm very proud to be a member of such a team. A few words to the program tonight. Next, we hear the graduation speech by Gilbert Achermann. Then we graduate the November 2017 class. Before we hear the class valedictorian, Ann-Sophie Zerlang-Carlsen, with her address, followed by the official group picture here on stage. After that, there will be a cocktail reception and a graduation dinner. I'm honored to introduce now to the graduating class, EMBA, alumni from 1999, Gilbert Achermann. In his professional work, he engages in various mandates in publicly listed and privately owned companies across a range of industries, including medical devices, pharma services, banking, consumer goods, and retail. Gilbert currently serves as the chairman of Straumann, the global leader in implant dentistry, and as a board member of Julius Baer, a leading private bank. Previously, he also held mandates as a chairman and co-CEO of the Vitra Group, a family-owned furniture and shop fitting company, the chairman role at Siegfried, a listed pharma service company, and vice chairman at the Moser Group, privately owned luxury watch company. Prior to all this, he was the CFO and later the CEO of Straumann. His professional life started at UBS in investment banking. Gilbert Achermann joined IMD in July 2006 in a role as executive in residence. In this function, he shares his knowledge, his passion and experience with participants and with faculty. He joined us, the EMBA team, in the Silicon Valley expedition 2016. And out of this, he's now the protagonist of a case study written by EMBA graduates who that will hopefully be selected as the winner for the next global case competition. Dear graduates, dear guests, dear team, please welcome Gilbert Achamar.
Well, dear EMBA graduates, dear spouses, parents, there are some kids, friends of the EMBAs, dear faculty and staff of the IMD. When staff asked me to give this graduation address, my mind flashed back to 1999, to the day when I sat where you are now sitting, and tried to recall the words of wisdom, encouragement and congratulation that were impressed on me by the person who was standing here. Now I have to admit, unfortunately, my memory does not serve me well, as I do not remember the name and content of the invited speaker. Yet, I do vividly remember Professor Andy Boynton being in charge of the EMBA and the other IMD faculty, some of which are still around. I remember also the task that we were given for our graduation ceremony, which was to sing a piece from Verdi's opera Nabucco, and occasionally I listened to the recording with a sense of nostalgia and pride. And don't worry, I'm not going to sing. Obviously, I have many more memories of IMD, which are much more significant, not least because IMD made me indeed a different person. It enabled me to become a leader. It gave me the mindset and the tools to tackle challenges and create opportunities. My great appreciation for what IMD gave me eventually led to my current involvement here as an executive in residence. I have no doubt that you will remember, as I do, the inspiration, professionalism, intellectual stimulation and fun. You will miss the discussions and debates with faculty and peers, the late night drinks at the White Horse Pub and the early morning jogs at Lake Geneva. 2 years of late nights, countless case studies, endless assignments and discovery expeditions to other parts of the world will all remain ingrained in your minds for a long time to come. IMD is a life-changing experience that sets people on a personal and professional journey that may bring significant disruption. No doubt your family, friends, and colleagues have experienced the past 2 years as a disruption. And you need to be sensitive to this, because disruption increases on the leadership journey and you will have to manage it. Always remember where you have come from, who has supported you, and who kept your back free, and who encouraged you to keep going. This is an important time to give back something to your loved ones. Which brings me to share a philosophical thought with you about success, contentment, and life in general. Most people participate in the EMBA program to advance their career and professional value, which are valid and good reasons. The question is, will climbing the career ladder, gaining freedom to operate, spending long hours at work, eating executive dinners, traveling business or first class, staying at better hotels, and earning more money than you can spend, make you content? I doubt that it will. No matter how high you rise in corporate life, you need to strike a balance between the I, the we, and the it. I obviously stands for you personally, We stands for your family, friends, and colleagues, while the it is the corporation, the business. Now, the three are seldom fully balanced. It is crucial for you to be aware of this and to manage it, because achieving and sustaining this balance is key to sustainable success and indeed happiness. A poem that was written more than a century ago sums this up well. It goes as follows. He achieved success who has lived well, laughed often, and loved much, who has enjoyed the trust of pure women, the respect of intelligent men, and the love of little children, who has filled his niche and accomplished his task, who has left the world better than he found it, whether an improved copy, a perfect poem, or a rescued soul, who has never lacked appreciation of earth's beauty or failed to express it, who has always looked for the best in others and given them the best he had, whose life was an inspiration, whose memory a benediction. The origin of the poem is disputed. Some attribute it to Bessie Anderson Stanley, others to Robert Stevenson. Whatever, the message is clear. Success is much broader than our current definition. This is certainly true for my generation, although millennials seem to have a somewhat wider perspective. He achieved success who has lived well, laughed often, and loved much. This seems a fair comment when you reflect on your happiest moments in life, doesn't it? But terms like trust, respect, love are uncommon in the corporate world. And what about the phrases left the world a better place and never lacked appreciation of earth's beauty? Now, is the concept of sustainability a modern invention? Not according to this poem. Looked for the best in others, given them the best he had, whose life was an inspiration and whose memory a benediction. Very noble attributes that are rare in a self-driven business world, but they are the marks of a truly successful leader. We live in a world where technology is changing everything fundamentally and has the potential to make the planet a better place. And yet we have more crazy people running the show than ever before. The older I get, the less surprised I am to see incomprehensible decisions that cause ultimately pain and grief. Now, in your companies, do people have the courage and stamina to speak up, take a stand, and expose themselves? Or are they afraid and take the path of least resistance? When a CEO or a manager is dismissed, is there a chorus of, "I told you so, it should have happened long time ago"? Most people are in fact followers, not leaders. Those who say one should, one could, one might, won't make the world a better place. As leaders, it is your responsibility to look beyond the surface, to challenge, to have sound judgment, to make decisions, to take risks, to stick to your beliefs, and above all, never lose sight of the overall good. It is your job to probe, to ask the right questions, and to think beyond the norm. You must help things to move forward. You must get involved. You must provide meaning and purpose, no matter how inconvenient this might be. In short, being an IMD EMBA is an obligation, not just an entitlement. All of you have the possibility, knowledge and means to achieve and sustain the right balance and to do good without sacrificing your career ambitions. I would like to congratulate you on your graduation, and in terms of the poem, I wish you every success. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gilbert, for this graduation address and also for your support and your company at IMD for me and my colleagues and our participants. We now come to the formal part of this evening, where we can celebrate the distribution of the diploma. In a very few minutes, the graduates will be officially Masters of Business Administration, entitled by IMD and the University of Lausanne. I would like to ask to come forward Terry Akit, Director Program Delivery of the IMD EMBA, and Sophie Hazi and Mathieu Berchon, Program Coordinators. Please come on stage so that we can start the graduation ceremony with the distribution of the diplomas.
Bonjour Adegbongbe.
Saleh Al-Rashid.
Neri Ayala.
Alia Azimova.
Tobias Beutner.
Marc Blazer.
Christian Baum.
Mike Cuenco.
Geoffrey de Vicher.
never so quiet in a classroom.
Grégory Ferrand.
Graduating with honors, Bernard Foury.
Ingrid František.
Marc Fourler.
Cosima Giannacchi.
Loïc Godaille.
Graduating with honors, Kevin Graham.
Vishal Gupta.
Dominic Harris.
Valedictorian of November 2017 class, Anne-Sophie Zerland-Carlsen.
Nathalie Knauf.
Massa Kondo.
Vassili Koshelev.
Adi Kouadio.
Alex Legler.
Cynthia Molina Sierra.
This is your fan club.
Manuel Noya.
Antonio Patricio.
Mathieu Paros.
Georg Pfister.
Eduarda Filadelfo Fernandez de Pina.
Graduating with honors, Stefano Poli.
It's yours.
Ruben Puma.
Hannes Büchel.
Alexei Revsky.
Michel Schaus.
Nicolas Chorneau.
Ahmed Shahini.
Graduating with honors, David Shapiro.
Lasse Snechberg.
Repno Soelistianti.
Alexei Soloviev.
Andrea Spaggiari.
David Spies.
Graduating with honors, Michael Standerup.
Bruno Studar.
Sarah Svedjedal.
Fumio Takeda.
Chandra Sekar Tenali.
Camelia Teodorescu.
Graduating with honors, Anita Schreiber.
Nigel Schwipper.
Mark Werder.
And Patrick Zeil.
happy and very proud of all of you. We are now following a long-standing academic tradition whereby one member of the class, selected by the class, will address the graduating class. I'd like to welcome Ann-Sophie Terland-Carlsen to the stage.
Thank you very much. I've been looking very much forward to standing here tonight. Probably firstly because I think graduation is something, let's be honest, for 16 months minimum, we've all been looking forward to it, right? But I'm personally very humbled. I'm grateful and I'm also quite proud that I get to stand here and represent what is now the graduated class of November 2017. It has a pretty good ring to it. To me, it seems almost unreal that it's, well, basically now it is over. And even though that Stefan has said a lot of thank yous and that our beloved Ben told us this morning that I shouldn't do this, then I'm sorry, I'm going to do it anyway, because I think a lot of thank yous are actually in order. So, to begin with, to the entire IMD faculty, thank you so much for everything you taught us. Thank you for all of your support and for getting us through. And thank you for being here tonight to celebrate with us. To the EMBA office, Sophie and Mathieu especially, thank you so much for arranging everything so seamlessly for us. Without you, there could very well have been that a few of us had gotten lost and left behind, either in the concrete jungles of Beijing or, oh horror, the beaches of Brazil. So thank you so much for getting us through it and for getting us home safely. And then lastly, but definitely most importantly, we owe a lot of thank you tonight to our families and loved ones, both the ones who are here and the ones who couldn't make it. Because I think you should get a lot of credit today. You've been there for us and you supported us through this journey. And I'm pretty sure it hasn't always been equally fun. Because you've had to cover for us while we've been away. And when we've been home, well, we've been preoccupied with assignments, with group work, and sometimes with some required soul searching to get through our leadership essays. I guess it's fair to say that the last year has been a lot about us. So we owe you one. It will be up to each of us to figure out what the equivalent of that one will be. I don't know whether it will be to support you through your future career ambitions and goals, or whether it will be something more low practical, like doing the grocery shopping, the vacuum cleaning, and the dishes for the rest of our lives. I will not decide for us individually, but I will take the liberty to make a promise on all of our behalf that pay it back we will. This last year, where we've all been together on the mastery part of the EMBA, has been an unforgettable journey. It's taken us from Switzerland to China, India, Vietnam, Brazil, and to the US. And we've gotten to study and discover the history and the cultures in each of these countries. It's been a really great opportunity to get a feeling for different sets of business environments and leadership styles than what we are faced with normally. And we've gotten to take that with us home into our own context, and reflect on it, and use it to, well, better understand who we are and maybe even more who we want to be as leaders. That has been a great learning experience, but we also, of course, had great learnings academically. So I strongly believe that across everything from finance to strategy, organizational theory, leadership, and more, we've gotten a lot of tools that will be beneficial for us through the rest of our career. But to be honest, when I think about the last year right now, the number one thing that stands out to me is that this was a people experience. Because traveling wasn't foreign to, I think, any of us when starting this. I think most of us have maybe even been to all of the countries that we visited together before. but getting to emerge into these other business environments and cultures, together with the people who represent 34 nationalities and 37 industries. Doing that together with a group like that, I don't think any of us have done before. And to me, that's really what made the difference. Because when we are out in the different corners of the world, and we spend long days visiting organizations and companies and so on, when we got back to the hotel at night, that's really where the work began. That's where we had to start sharing our experiences. And very often, or actually always, that was where the learnings began. Because my Scandinavian Viking eyes, they had rarely or always seen something very different from those of a Swiss grenadier or a Brazilian oil and gas professional, a German biophysics PhD, or an Italian corporate developer. So in reality, those moments, that's where the magic happened. Because sometimes it would lead to amazing conversations. Conversations about Chinese Confucianism, about talent development in Silicon Valley, about despair over poverty in India or pollution in China, or about the deep inspiration that I think most of us felt from the entrepreneurial spirit we've been exposed to across continents. And then there were those other times. The other times where it led to heated arguments. Arguments about politics, about business strategies, sometimes about something as sexy as numbers, and my personal favorite, about how to best present our findings in a PowerPoint slide. Luckily, when I think back of it now, I remember it as that the good conversations far outnumbered the arguments, and the arguments in reality were never more severe than a truce could be found in the bar later. But I am very sure that our diversity has been our strength. I think coming into this, all of us logically knew, we probably all even said it out loud, that diversity is a benefit in any group or organization. But knowing something intellectually and actually believing something, well, that's not always the same thing. IMD has managed to create a neutral space for us, a room where we've all been in the exact same situation. We've all met each other on equal grounds. Across genders, cultures, religions, and beliefs, we've faced the exact same challenges. But we did it, we came into it with our backpacks filled with very different tools in terms of experiences, approaches, and views. And to see the results which we've been able to create together by combining those tools, well, that has at least enabled me to no longer just logically believe that diversity is a strength. I feel it, I've seen it, and I now believe it in here. So I hope we'll all take that with us, because God knows the world today is in dire need of leaders who firstly acknowledges diversity as a strength, but also who doesn't only talk the talk, but who actually believes it enough to drive it, and drive it in both organizations as well as in the world societies. We started this journey together as strangers. I still remember our first class together. It was here in Lausanne at IMD. It was January, and it was cold, it was dark, and there was quite some anxiety in the air. Some of us knew each other from past FBL courses, some of us did not. And we were all kind of eyeing each other out a little bit. Who do I trust? Who do I want to work with? Maybe, you know, for the most competitive of us, who's going to help me win? And okay, through my eyes at least, who do I want to have drinks with later? Over time, group work was carried out, competing exercises were won and, well, lost. Assignments were written, drinks were drunk, and the coalitions and the competition melted, and instead friendships were formed. The time spent together and the pressure that this program has put us through, it's pushed us closer together. We've built resilience individually, but in reality, we've built that together. We just spent a few days in a Swiss bunker and in a high-stress environment. And even though I just came out, one of my first reflections on that is that had that been a year ago, then the sleep deprivation, the lack of fresh air, and the high pressure tasks, I'm pretty sure it would have made all of us tear each other's heads off. Yet it seems today that when we talk about it, that there's a clear consensus that now it didn't seem that stressful at all. Maybe that's partly because we've become a unit that no longer competes and focuses on number one, but instead a unit that respects each other, that listens to each other, that speaks up for each other, that supports each other, a unit that's not afraid to challenge each other, but a unit that cares, and a unit that inspires each other to dare. In the program, and also last week, we have on a regular basis been giving each other personal feedback. Sometimes after a very structured methodology, and sometimes less so. But regardless of the format, I think it's been quite interesting to see the profound development in the quality of that as an exercise. And maybe that's because giving feedback is a skill, and when you rehearse it, you get better, sure. And maybe it's also because when you know people a little better, it's easier to give on-point feedback, sure. But in reality, I believe that is something else, because I believe that the fact we've gone through this together has opened our ears in a new way. We've gone from listening, because we had to, it's an exercise, to actually caring about each other's point of view, to really take it in. And maybe even better, to dare to use the feedback to strive to become better versions of ourselves. That tells me something important, that when we invest in getting to know each other, when we care for each other, we can also impact each other. We can inspire, we can make each other better. And as future people leaders, I really hope that that's one of the things we all take with us. So not only, just for the benefit of the lucky people who will get to work for us in the future, but also because of the network that we've built together. You see, we've talked a lot about what makes a good networker, right? I don't believe that a good networker has anything to do with whether you're an extrovert or not, how you manage your LinkedIn contacts, or how many events you go to. I believe that it is all about what you put into your network. I think caring about the people around us, that will be what will make the network we have created together over the last years be something that actually gives back to us for many years to come. So dear graduated class of November 2017, together we've learned a lot out there in the real world. And some of it was in the official curriculum. A lot of it was not. And I have to mention a few of the highlights, which will be permanently stored in my backpack going forward. Because together with all of you, I have at least learned that the answer is yes. The profound value of stopping up and asking what the heck is going on. That let's have one drink rarely means one drink. That there is no such thing as a flat cube, no matter how hard 8 highly intelligent people look for it. That playing the piano can be rather complicated, and that's regardless whether it has 7 or 10 chords. And that sometimes, and this is just sometimes, if you're with the right people, great work and great results can actually come from sitting around at the pool and at the bar. Thank you all for what has been one of the richest years in my life in terms of learning. Thank you for all your candor. Thank you for the friendships, which I firmly believe and hope will last for a long time. In essence, thank you all for making me better. I hope that the people in this room will become the great future leaders of our world, be it from the boardrooms of big corporate, or from society, or from, from the political scenes in our societies, or from changing the world through innovative startups. No matter what route we take, I have one hope and one ambition for all of us, and that is that we will go and make a real impact. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anne-Sophie, for this wonderful speech. One thing that just struck me in one of the things you said, on the many things, is that instead of, when you talk about listening, instead of just listening, that you care for each other. And I think that is, I never heard it in that way, and I think that's very, very true and very important. And I invite the families, the husband and wives, and kids and parents, you can remind the graduates of this if it starts to wear off. Education is all about slow learning and fast forgetting. So I hope you take this with you. When I made my address, I realized I might have skipped a few lines. So I would like to apologize for that. I would also like to welcome and to thank two of my colleagues that I didn't mention in the first round. Professor Anand, he's the Dean of Faculty at IMD, and he led many of you into a wonderful quest in his home country, India. And Professor Gautam Chalagala, one of the world's leading marketing experts, who helped us to understand customers better. Can I ask my colleagues to stand up so that we can thank them? I would also like to thank two other members of our team, Jean-Noël Puissant, he's a career coach and strategist, and Sylvia Ischer. Sylvia, when you have a chance to look at the book that we distributed today, Sylvia is the one who summarizes everything we teach in a very visual way, in a way that is so comprehensive. So maybe I shouldn't say this, but you graduate now, so I have not much to lose. Sometimes when I need to prepare a lesson, and I was wondering, what did I say last time? I go and open Sylvia's drawings, and then I understand, oh, this is it. This is what I'm going to teach today. So I would like to thank my two colleagues also for their important contributions. Dear graduates, dear family, dear guests, dear colleagues, this concludes the formal part of the graduation for the EMBA class November 2017. We now continue with a group picture, so we ask all the graduates to come forward and the photographer will help set the stage for the formal official group picture. And I would like to invite all the guests, families, and colleagues and friends to go upstairs where a cocktail will be served. Thank you very much, and again, congratulations.